A very warm welcome to everyone. Today on Thoughts on Education, we have with us Mr. Zaheesh Moideen, the co-founder and director of IZee Business School, Bangalore. He's also the co-founder and director of IZee Manpower Consulting Private Limited. Mr. Zaheesh has over 19 years of experience in recruitment, training, and the education industry in general. And he has also played a key role in setting up support centers for many contact centers across the world. So we are very, very honored to have Mr. Zaheesh on this platform today with us. So a very, very warm welcome to you, sir.
Thank you, Tejas. Thanks for having me in here today.
Yeah, sure, sir. So we'll just, move on to the few, we'll just talk about your, college in general and the kind of facilities we have for the students and kind of growth opportunities we have, right? But first, I want to ask you that, being the director of the college, how do you generally strategize the key programs in terms of the administration of the school as well as the marketing aspect of it?
Yeah, Tejas, just to introduce quickly about IZee Business School, right before we get in. See, we established IZee Business School in the year 2009, right? And it's been around 11 years, where our primary programs have been MBA, Bba Aviation, and the other bachelor's program as in BCA, BCom, and the general BBA, the BBA program as well. And our base has always been into recruitment. So we started a recruitment company in the year 2004 because two of us, Mr. Elias, who's my colleague and the co-founder of IZee, two of us started this, and our background was into training and recruitment prior to that. And we founded IZee Manpower in the year 2004. So we've been running IZee Manpower as one of the premium recruitment centers or recruitment companies with large multinational companies and Fortune 500 companies as our clients. So the institution was obviously a follow-up from the recruitment company, because a student comes to an institution to do two or three things. One, develop his or herself, right? Second, get good career opportunities, and then excel in the corporate world and lead a good life, right? So since we have a strong background in the recruitment industry, right, we could integrate that with our institution, wherein we can forecast and foresee what a student's needs depending on what client requirements are. So we know each of our client what they need from our students, and we can develop our students according to what the industry needs, right? So it's a very nice integration between recruitment and education, right? Coming to your question, Tejas, the plan for us and how do we strategize in terms of administration and marketing is, first of all, it is to identify the right programs, right, where a student can graduate and get into the corporate world. So our first step is to find out the right programs with the right specialization, right? For example, there are huge job opportunities now and in the future in areas like data science, artificial intelligence, right? Even in the aviation and service industry, in the animation and VFX industry, right? So our first priority is, or the key task for us and my team is to develop the right program, right? So that the students are in demand when they pass out of a particular course. That is number one. Number two, it is to have the right resource and the right team, right? The foundation of any organization is the team, right? So our focus is, over the last 10 to 15 years, is to build the right team and the right resource so that they can guide the students in the right direction, right? As far as marketing is concerned, like you all know better than us, it is all digital now, right? Gone are the days where we physically go to each location, even though we do that, right? But that's not something which works really well compared to how it was 10 or 15 years back, right? Our key marketing strategy now is to go digital, right? Make our presence felt digitally, and obviously brand the institution in the right way so that we can forecast and showcase our institutes, its values to our potential students, right? So So digital is the way to go forward. I think Collegedunia knows it best.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so I mean that pretty much answers my question. My next question would be, sir, that when you started the college, you said that it was a result of your recruiting company that this idea came into your mind, right? That we can blend it. But what was the vision that you actually saw? That this is the vision I want to see with my business school, and given so many years, 11 years now, how far along are you in moving towards that vision?
Yeah, basically, when we started the recruitment company in 2004, what we realized is we had a number of students passing out and coming to our company for a job, right? But our clients used to hire only 10 to 15% of the number of candidates who are coming into our center or into our company, right? 85% of them don't get a job, right? And they don't get the right job. Right? So what happens is, from our analysis, from our research, what we found out, and now people talk about it every time, is we found out they are not employable. The students are not ready or do not have the skill set that the corporates are looking at right now, right? So part of our recruitment company, apart from recruitment, we were also involved with training of number of universities across India. So our training team used to go to MBA colleges, management colleges, and train students, right, on soft skills, life skills, aptitude training, and stuff like that. And then we used to help them get a job with one of our clients. But again, we felt that there's a huge gap between what the number of students coming out or passing out to the number of people getting a job. So our vision initially was, before we started, and even now it is, on how do we bridge the gap. If we have 100 students coming into the college or the institution, how do we ensure that at least 70 to 80% of those students are employable? And that's not an easy task,
of course,
right? So it has a lot of aspects in it, because it depends on their attitude, how to develop students' attitude, how to develop students' communication skills, right? How to develop students' knowledge, right? And what we found out is a lot of students are receptive to it. They put in the effort willingly, but a lot of students there are who are resistant to change, right? So how do we actually counsel them? How do we inspire them? How do we mentor them so that they also put in the effort, so that eventually they get right to an organization, or their dream organization, as we say, right? So our vision mainly from the last 10 years and going forward also is, number one, how do we make our students employable? Number two is, see, all of us run behind success, right? Success, like they say, it's not a destination, right? It's a journey, right? What do we do while we run behind success? Because success has different benchmark, different parameters. Now, a student's success would be to get a job. Once he gets a job, the next success point would be he wants to grow, right? And then he wants to earn a salary. So basically, in our life cycle, success keeps changing, right? Being a human being, we are not content with what we have, right? So along with training students on success, we also need to train them on, or mentor them on, life skills, right? How do we be good human beings, right? How do we add value to the society, right? There are so many aspects, right? We all run behind success. We forget the core values of life, right? Money and success is just part of the journey. There are so many things in between that we need to take care of. So our vision, or personally my vision for the institution, is how do we develop a student totally, in totality, right? Not only show him, right, this is a success path and you get into a corporate, you're successful. No. How do you live life happily? So our vision is a little different to a lot of others, right, where their mantra is only success and the salary they get at the end of the course. But our mantra and vision is not only success and the salary, but how do we make these students good human beings so that they can lead a good life in the future.
Okay, right. And how would you say that, how far along are you now, and what is the kind of journey left for you and IZee Business School as such? And what do you think your priority should be over the next, let's say, 10 years of time?
To be very honest, we are still taking baby steps. 10 years in the education industry is not much, right? We are still learning, we are still evolving, right? Our first step was to identify programs, and we are doing that every day because the industry keeps changing every year, right? Like I initially told you, our first step is to get programs which the industry needs. Something that we are working on now is the aviation program, because we have our own aviation academy and we have collaboration with some of the top aviation institutes across the world. So our students get experience going to Europe, going to Singapore, and getting trained in some of the large aviation training academies in the world. Right? Aviation is an aspect that is an area that we are focusing on. Apart from aviation, we also have our own design and media school. So till recently or till now, we were focusing on the diploma programs and the short-term programs. But going forward from 2021, we want to introduce bachelor's program for in design and media. So we want to get students working on VFX, working on animation, working on gaming. Right? There is huge potential in the market. So number one is to develop the programs. Number two is to constantly develop our infrastructure. Because when we are coming up with these kind of programs, right, we need infrastructure to match those programs, right? Running a VFX or a VFX filmmaking or a gaming program is not easy. You need to have the softwares, you need to have the setup, you need to have the system and the infrastructure to train students in the right way. So the second aspect would be to develop the infrastructure, right? And we are slowly working on, it does not happen overnight. So it's a long haul in this industry. So we keep developing and improving. And the third thing, like I again said initially, it is all about having the right mentors, the right staff, the right faculties, because they are the ones who would actually direct students, right? Who would guide students, who would teach students on values, right? So there are a number of them who are working and associated with us over the last 10 to 15 years. Our focus is to retain staff and not keep changing staff, right? Our team has to be constant. So we have our colleagues who are working with us for 10 years, 12 years, 15 years, and they are the ones who are driving the entire institution as such.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. Yeah, got it, sir. So, looking at those aspects as well. So, when you talk about the, curriculum about your BBA program or the MBA program, how do you generally see to that it's constantly updated, matching the industry levels? And, what would you say that, IZee's greatest strength, one of the biggest strength that you have that other colleges don't have?
The greatest strength that IZee has currently would be we get first-hand information from the industry and from the companies as to what they want from a student, right? Just for example, say around 10 years, 15 years back, right? People were okay taking freshers who are just out of college, right? Over the last 10 years, the trend has been companies wants to take students who have some kind of exposure or an internship experience, right? Or a real-time experience in an organization. Right. So what we have done is we have added an internship aspect in our curriculum where the students, depending on their area of specialization, would go into an organization and do a short or a long-term internship depending on the requirement of that particular program. Okay. So if the advantage of internship, right, which has huge value is when a student goes into a company and gets employed in a company, he already knows what to expect. Right. He's already worked and been there, done that earlier for a short duration. So the employer is really happy with the students or the candidate because they've already done that and they don't have to teach them from scratch. Right? So internship is one aspect that we've added to all our courses to give real-time experience, which adds value when they get employed. The second thing is give the students the exposure in terms of certification, right? We have tied up with a lot of institutes and universities where the students gets value-add certification. Because we just don't train them on something, but we train them and certify them. For example, if it could be digital marketing, or it could be animation, or it could be graphic design, or it could be any of those, or it could be SAP.
Right.
Right. So what we do is we train them. We have collaborated with other institutes who are pros or who are really good at that particular program. So they would come, whether it's within India or internationally, and then train our students for value-added certifications. Right. So that's another aspect that we focus on. So 2 things or 3 things, if I can put in a nutshell. Number 1, internship and real-time experience. Number 2, global certifications and stuff like that. And number 3, getting the mentorship program for our students. We have a huge set of industry connect, where the leadership of that corporates acts as a mentor to our students. So we have a mentorship program where every mentor will have around 5 to 10 mentees, where they would guide them throughout the 2 or 3 years, and so that they develop and they learn from the mentors and develop. Right. So mentorship is another thing that we've added in the last few years.
Got it. So, I mean, I personally also feel that, certifications especially are the need of the hour right now. And a lot of students, everyone's saying that we need to make more generalists rather than specialists, right? We need people and students to be experienced in all aspects rather than specializing in one, because that's what the corporates really need right now. People who can handle all aspects, or at least have some idea on all aspects of the business, right? And especially being at IZee, you do have an upper hand, having the recruitment companies in your own pockets, right? And getting that real-time information about what is the kind of things or experience or knowledge that they're looking for inside the students, right?
Correct.
I think,
Exactly.
I mean that is definitely a very, very good advantage that IZee has.
Right.
Yeah, but sir, can you tell me some of the things, or let's say courses that you are currently developing, and you feel that that could really be a game changer for your business school?
Yeah. See, 3 or 4 programs that we are currently working on, which probably we will launch, or some of them we've already launched. Our number 1 is a program which is related to animation VFX. So we are developing a program called Bba Animation Vfx or BCA Animation Vfx.
Okay.
Right? Animation and VFX is a huge industry. The media and entertainment industry is huge, right? So if you see all the top Hollywood or Bollywood movies, most of them are made in or developed in India, right? And it's done in VFX, and most of the companies outsource it to India, Bangalore being the hub of animation and VFX. So that's one program that we are developing. Second is the aviation program. So we have the BB aviation program. See, the aviation industry is growing rapidly, right? Except for the stopgap thing because of COVID, right? Pre-COVID and post-COVID, it would grow rapidly. Right? Just to give you a small analysis, India has around 102, 103 airports now, and as per the last thing which I've read, they are coming up with another 350 airports in the next 8 to 10 years.
Wow.
Right? And the government has come up with a scheme called the Udan Scheme, where, right, which makes, I mean, with the vision of getting airports in every district of India.
Okay.
Right? So usually what happens earlier is a state like Karnataka will have 1 or 2 airports. But now Karnataka has 5 to 7 airports. Tamil Nadu has 4 or 5 airports.
Okay.
Right? So every state is having more and more airports because aviation and flying is becoming affordable. Right? It's no more how it was earlier. Right? Now everyone tends to take the flight and go rather than take the train or the bus. Right? So aviation is another aspect that we are working on, which we want to focus in the future. And the third one is we have an IT training company of our own. So we are designing and developing programs in data science, in digital marketing, in artificial intelligence, and blend that along with our BCA or the BBA program.
Okay.
Right? And finally would be our flagship program, which is the MBA program, right? because we've been doing the MBA program for the last 11 years. We've been training MBA students from different MBA institutions from the last 17 years. So that is obviously our flagship program. And in MBA, I mean, there are so many specializations coming up, but we want to develop something that the industry needs. And that is something that we are working on right now.
So are you also planning to probably in the future extend your graduate programs into postgraduate, let's say animation or a VFX course, probably a second level to it, or a kind of postgraduate program? Are you also looking forward to that?
Yes, exactly. So we have already started that. We a BBA aviation program. We also have a MBA aviation program.
Okay.
So similarly, we would like to do that as well, because that will give the added value and the punch for the students' careers. Right. That is something. So whatever the program that we are developing, we are looking at the undergrad level and the postgrad level as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Okay, got it, sir. Last two questions to you, sir. My, it's very general. What do you feel currently in India, especially, are the challenges in higher education for students, and especially what do you feel are the challenges for IZee Business School?
See, in general, my personal opinion for higher education would be going forward, and I think the government is already working on it, and they've come up with a new education policy as well, right? The government or the institution has to focus on real-time exposure to students, right? So if you see a lot of the developed countries, what happens is it is not only learning through books. It is through learning through books. It is learning through practical exposure. It's learning through mentorship program. It's based application, basically learning through your life, right? So what we at IZee are focusing on is to develop all our programs, which is real time, which is exposure based, right? Which are internship based, so that these guys go. See, when I graduated, right? When I completed my undergrad in 2009, the only exposure I got is to go maybe to a industry for half a day, see what happens there, and come back, right? And they've taken me to an industry which is not related to what I was doing, right? So that was what we were exposed to. But now, because there's so much of internet and there's so much of online presence and all that, the students are able to read and learn what is happening in the world, right? It's all at the tips of your fingers, right? It's all on your phone. You don't need a computer or a laptop for that, right? So we need to make the students or the programs more industry relevant. One. Second, again, coming from a recruitment background, the biggest challenge I see is employability skills, right? Students don't have, not that there are no jobs in the market. There are jobs in the market, right? But those jobs are there only for the right students or the skilled students,
right?
If somebody comes to me and say, I'm not getting a job, right? My answer to them is, that's not because jobs are not there. Jobs are there. That's because you're not meeting the skill requirement, right? That the industry or the company needs or expects you to have, right? So if you work on that, you would get a job, right? So we need to develop programs where these students become job ready, right? They have the skills and the exposure where if they walk in, they can clear the interview, right? They can do well in their careers. So the main thing is practical orientation, and that's what at IZee we are focusing on. Again, these are things which cannot be changed overnight, right? It's a long process, but obviously the process has started. Even the universities are focusing on that. Even the government are focusing on that. Large private institutes also are working on that, right? So hopefully in the years to come, you'll see a huge change, and for the betterment of the students.
Right, of course. Yeah. Okay. So, sir, any advice you would like to give to the students who are currently, just after school and starting to look at their careers? What is one advice you want to give them?
See, I just got into a session a couple of days back online with some of the new students, right? And I asked them, these were aviation and management students. And my question to them was, why are you all here? Why did you all join this program? Okay. And their answer is, it's our dream to become a manager, or it's our dream to complete an MBA program, or it's our dream to get into the aviation industry. Right? So I just looked at them and said, you know what? Everyone has a dream. So what's new about it? Right? So having the dream is great, but what are you doing to fulfill the dreams? What are you going to? How are you going to achieve those dreams? Right? And always there is one great quote which comes to my mind from Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, which says, "Dreams are not something that you see while you sleep. Right? Dreams are something that will not allow you to sleep." Right? And if you take our example, when we are building an institution, building a recruitment company, but we cannot sleep because we dream every time to build a great institution, to build a great organization. So if you have the passion towards what you're doing, if you can put in the hard work, right, and be very smart while doing that, any dream is achievable and it's possible. So everyone has a dream, but how many achieves it? It's only 5 or 10%, and that's because they have the passion, dedication, hard work. They put in the hard work and everything required to achieve those dreams. The other 90% don't do that, and they expect the dreams to come true. Right? So my only advice would be very simple, not complicating it. Dream big, work hard, right? And be positive in anything that you do, because ups and downs are part of life, right? You win some, you lose some, that's part of life. But you need to still keep going to achieve your dream as such. That would be probably my advice.
Thank you so much for the advice. I think it was a really, really great advice, and pretty sure that it will reach out to a lot of students and they will be able to take something positive out of this. And lastly, I would like to thank you so much, sir, for taking out this precious time of yours and talking about yourself and IZee Business School. I think it was really, really honor to have you on this platform. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Tejas. Thanks so much for inviting me here, and I'm sure we'll be associated for the long term as well.